On today's show, Joseph Goodman from AL.com will join us to talk about his new book, We Want Bama. We'll get his thoughts on some of the other teams around the SEC as well, not just Alabama. We'll also get his thoughts on who LSU should hire as their next head coach, and we'll go around the conference, catch you up to date on the latest news across the SEC. Locked On SEC starts right now.
You are Locked On SEC, your daily podcast on the Southeastern Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome into Locked On SEC. It's great to have you guys along. Today's show is brought to you by McDonald's. It proudly serving community since 1965. McDonald's has always been more than just a place to get tasty, affordable food. It's an unofficial community center, and a big thank you to our friends at McDonald's for always being there. I'm loving it. I'm Chris Gordy. Thanks for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. Remember, we are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube and at LockedOnSEC.com. Let's jump into it. Let's go around the conference.
Boots out to the right. Intercepted. Takes the handoff. What a catch!
Around the conference.
And we start over at Florida as Bruce Feldman of The Athletic this week documented what he's reported on to be significant issues over in Gainesville and how coaches from around the league are viewing the current state of the Gators. He said a lot of the things he's heard around Florida is centered around effort and discipline or lack thereof. Feldman also noted that it's Florida, not a mid-level program, and their recruiting struggles have come while Miami, Florida, Tennessee, some of the Gators' primary rivals, have been in rebuild mode. Feldman said, "Are you taking advantage of the opportunity around you? The fact is they are not. It's hard to make any argument that Florida is going in the right direction." Over at Alabama, Nick Saban looking ahead to the LSU game this week, and Alabama looking to finish the regular season strong as they came in number 2 in the first edition of the college football playoff rankings. Nick Saban talked with the media, said, "I think our team has played extremely well. I also think we've been inconsistent at times. Hopefully we can build on the identity of being consistent to allow us to finish the season the way we would like to." Asked about LSU's approach against Alabama, LSU head coach Ed Orgeron said, "We're going to have to run the football. We have to be 50-50. It's always a challenge against Alabama because they're so strong up front. Very impressive. They always are." He said, "Every year I've been here, they coach great and they recruit great." So we will see. Meanwhile, Lane Kiffin was asked about Hugh Freeze on this week's SEC teleconference. Kiffin's Rebels will face Hugh Freeze's Liberty Flames on Saturday in Oxford. Kiffin said, I think he did a lot more than I did in terms of revitalizing the offenses in the SEC. He said they were very unique back then at Ole Miss. There was a lot more of that in the Big 12, not really the SEC. He said, ironically, it's not really the same anymore. That sort of surprised me this week, that Hugh Freeze has kind of changed. He said, which I would have not expected since he's been really successful over the years, going really fast up-tempo. Unfortunately, Saturday's game probably not going to feature that offensive up-tempo on both sides that we're used to seeing from Hugh Freeze and Lane Kiffin. Kiffin said the Rebels have had to go simple on offense this week due to their mounting injuries. Kiffin said, yeah, we're having to simplify things. Obviously, 2 of 11 starters being healthy is unheard of. We're going to simplify things, try to play some younger players. So not great news there in Oxford. Ole Miss better be careful. They could find themselves losing to Liberty this week. Meanwhile, Kentucky, ahead of Saturday's rivalry clash, Mark Stoops had high praise for Tennessee quarterback Hendon Hooker. He said he's making unbelievably quick decisions, very confident, playing as fast as they do, and him making such good decisions, so few turnovers, very impressive, Stoops said of Hendon Hooker. It will be Stoops' first time facing a Josh Heupel coached Tennessee team. There is some familiarity between the two, as they were both on the staff in Arizona in 2005. Over at Mississippi State, we know Mike Leach loves to run the air raid, throwing the football, but if a defense will give him lanes to run the football, he will take it. And that's exactly what they did against Kentucky last week. Mississippi State ran the ball 35 times for 94 yards. Leach said this week, we ran it more, but part of that is that's what the defense was giving us. Our running backs are continuing to improve. State was led by Jaquavius Marks, who had 20 carries for 58 yards and a touchdown on the ground. Meanwhile, over at Auburn, Brian Harsin, he's being discussed as possible SEC Coach of the Year, as he has largely exceeded expectations to this point. This week, Harsin and the Tigers will meet Texas A&M in the CBS afternoon game on Saturday. Harsin said offensively, A&M, they're good at scheming. Coach Jimbo Fisher does a great job putting together a game plan. They're very talented. Quarterback can throw it. Running backs are very explosive. They win their one-on-one matchups quite often. He said defensively, their defensive line is as good as they come. Very physical, very talented. They play hard statistically. They are very good defensively. On the flip side, the Texas A&M Aggies and Jimbo Fisher, it's a weird rivalry game. Aggies have lost 4 straight against Auburn at Kyle Field, and they're 4-1 against them at Jordan-Hare Stadium. Fisher said this week, people have made that aware to me. That happens at times. Hopefully, that'll break this week. You're going to have to play great. Teams in this league get used to playing on the road because of the number of hostile environments. Fisher also applauded the Auburn defense, especially in the red zone. He said they make adjustments during the game. They've always done a great job on defense. They're playing really good in the red zone. I think last week Ole Miss was there 4 different times, never got a point. Auburn always competes very hard. So not a Jordan-Hare this week where the Aggies have had success. That Kyle Field where Auburn has had success. See if the Tigers are able to get a win against A&M this week. Over at South Carolina, OC Marcus Satterfield and head coach Shane Beamer facing some questions in recent days about the South Carolina offense being too complex as the Gamecocks trying to jumpstart their offensive unit. After Shane Beamer defended the offense on Sunday evening, Satterfield met with the media on Wednesday and said, look, there's nothing that we're doing that's too complex, especially in the run game. I've coached at the FCS level. My dad has coached at the high school level. It's basic football. But what I'm asking them to do, maybe you're not a wide zone team. Maybe you're a tight or gap zone team. South Carolina ranks number 12 in the SEC in running the football per game at 117 yards. Meanwhile, Shane Beamer said he's waiting to name a starting quarterback for South Carolina's Week 10 game against Florida. Zeb Nolan or Jason Brown are the 2 possibilities. Most likely going to be Zeb Nolan, but he did get banged up recently. Over at Mizzou, their head coach Eli Drinkwitz sharing his thoughts on preparing for the 2 Georgia quarterbacks this week. He said, quote, I think Stetson Bennett has a little more ability in the run game. They do a little bit more with him in the quarterback read and run. But other than that, Coach Monken calls it to their strengths. Call the game to the strengths of your quarterbacks. Both he and JT Daniels have ability. I really don't know that the offense changes much, whether it's Stetson Bennett or JT Daniels in there. And lastly, the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award named their 10 finalists on Wednesday as it looks to find the top upperclassman quarterback in the country. The namesake, of course, Johnny Unitas, who played in the NFL for 18 years. Matt Corral of Ole Miss is the only SEC representative to make the 10 finalist list. The award is designed to promote leadership and other achievements off the field as well as on the field. Of course, good track record with the SEC. The last 2 winners came from the Southeastern Conference, with Mac Jones winning it in 2020 and Joe Burrow winning it in 2019. Thank you guys for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. That is Around the Conference. Coming up next, we're going to talk with Joseph Goodman and his new book, We Want Bama. That's coming your way next. This episode is brought to you by McDonald's, proudly serving communities since 1965. McDonald's has always been more than just a place to get tasty, affordable food. It is a place where friends and family can come to reconnect. I remember having birthday parties there as a kid. Always wanted the Happy Meal. Yeah, you get the toy in there, but you get some tasty food as well. It's a place where classmates can meet up for a study group, knowing they're going to have dependable Wi-Fi. Very cool that every McDonald's has got the dependable Wi-Fi in there. It's a place you look forward to stopping on a long road trip. Of course, a lot of you guys traveling across the SEC throughout this football season. You're stopping off, got to rest your legs, got to grab some food. You might as well do it at a McDonald's. Rest your legs and refuel. So many different stories and so many different experiences people have had at McDonald's throughout the years. And of course, it is a place where communities can come together and you see people you know, and whether it's stopping off for breakfast, which I'm a big fan of, the McDonald's breakfast, or lunch or dinner, whatever it is, McDonald's has got you. They will take care of you. with their endless supplies of French fries and McFlurry. So head on over to your local McDonald's to refuel and reconnect. Somebody say maybe a Locked On SEC watch party. Let's make it happen. I'm loving it, McDonald's. Rolling along here, Locked On SEC. Chris Gordy here with you. And we had this guy on the show not too long ago, and he told us, he hinted at something. He said, I got something I'm working on that's coming out. I can't talk about it just yet. And now it is coming out. And join us now. We're pleasure to be joined now by our buddy Joseph Goodman, sports columnist at AL.com. Been doing this for a long time, and now he's got a new book out, We Want Bama. You can buy or find the book, WeWantBamaBook.com. Joseph, what's going on, man?
Hey, thanks for remembering, man. Really appreciate it. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. It was. I just remember you telling me that. I'm like, oh, is he quitting? Is he going off into another direction? Is he going to do TV or radio or something else? And lo and behold, I would like the book. I just got the copy of the book. I've been so busy with everything going on, I have not had a chance to read it yet, but I'm excited to dive into it. Talk a little bit about what the inspiration, the decision to write this book.
Well, I think you might be the busiest guy in sports. So, just whenever you get around to it, buddy, enjoy it, and I hope you appreciate it. And well, the inspiration to write the book was I guess if you want to have if the book has a thesis, it's what makes the ultimate team, because when Alabama won their championship in 2020, Nick Saban called it his ultimate team. And that, he never overestimates or puts big pronouncements on anything like that. So for him to say, like, this was the best team, this was the ultimate team, well, then I wanted to ask myself, what makes the ultimate team? And, there in Alabama, a lot goes into that. And, the book pays respect to that team in 2020, but also remembers, what it did off the field as well. And then, what everyone was dealing with the pandemic in 2020, which was just like nothing we've ever known. So a lot going on, and I tried to capture it all in basically one college football season.
It was incredible that, with everything that was going on, I mean, teams were losing players left and right to the COVID pandemic and testing positive, close contacts and all that. And it was pretty amazing that Alabama was able to avoid that last season. How much do you touch on that? And granted, Nick Saban had not one but two issues of COVID, where he won, it was a false positive and he came back. And then the other one, he actually did have it and was out and missed a game. And Steve Sarkisian, coach, but how much did that also play a factor in the book?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I definitely go into their strict testing policies that Alabama put into place. But also, through the reporting of the book, I was able to find out some stuff about, that off season, and they did have COVID go through their locker room before the season even started and before fall camp even started. So, those are some little nuggets in the book that kind of speak to how they were able to, not have anyone, I guess, test positive. Well, they did have a couple of linemen test positive during the season. I think Evan Neal tested positive, but anyway, they weren't badly affected like other teams. The biggest thing to me, when it comes to the pandemic and the football team, was the fact that they didn't have anybody opt out. A lot of the major teams, even some of the Group of Five teams, there were a lot of opt outs, if you guys remember, in 2020, and that played a huge role as well. I think when, and there. Some games when Alabama played Kentucky, it's like Kentucky could barely field a team. Right. It was, some of the teams were badly affected while others managed to avoid a lot of it.
How impressed were you though by, the on the field product? It was amazing what we saw week in and week out from, Mac Jones was kind of an unknown. You didn't know what you were going to get in him. Najee Harris becomes this do-it-all running back, workhorse. It really did just seem like a team of destiny from the start of the season. And I think we saw it week in and week out, and obviously Devontae Smith being the Heisman Trophy winner and how good he was. But Talk a little bit about that and how much those elements come up in the book.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The offense was incredible. 3 of the 5 guys made it to the were Heisman finalists. With Devontae Smith winning the whole thing. You can make a case that Najee should have won it. You can make a case that Mac Jones should have won it. So, uh, yes, there were some great behind the scenes stories though with Mac Jones that I think readers are really going to like, especially dealing with the pressure of the Iron Bowl and some interesting family moments leading into a couple of the games and how he was able to overcome some unnecessary I guess harassment from Auburn leading into both Iron Bowls. Well, he lost. I guess he didn't overcome 2019, but in 2020 he did.
Yeah.
So there are some fun stories in there about Mac Jones and a lot of the players. So that team was a special team, and their chemistry really all came together before the season even started when they marched to the schoolhouse door in Alabama. And so they really had a commitment to one another and to the team to make what they did before the season stand the test of time. And the only way they could have done that was to, run the table, do what had never been done, win 11 SEC games, and then win the national championship. So, they could not fail and they could not lose, and they did not lose. And that's why it was, such a memorable season.
WeWantBamaBook.com is the website. Of course, you can just search We Want Bama and find the book wherever books are sold. Joseph Goodman is our guest. Joseph, when we return, I want to touch on some of the games around the SEC happening this weekend because there's some really, really big ones that could, make kind of separate the contenders from the pretenders here in the next couple of weeks. So we'll touch on that next right here on Locked On SEC. It's a couple days away from the start of another weekend of college football. Full slate on Saturday across the SEC, and that means you want to be getting in over at BetOnline.ag. BetOnline, they remain your number one spot for all things football and basketball. They are back and better than ever. Their new website's got an interface, very easy to navigate, very easy to find all the props, odds, and lines that you are looking for. Head on over there right now. You can do so on your desktop, even on your mobile device. And you will sign up today. If you've never signed up before, sign up today and you will get a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit when you use our promo code LOCKEDON. That's LOCKEDON. Do that when you sign up. You will get a 50% welcome bonus. And they got you covered with everything from basketball to football, boxing, UFC, even your favorite Vegas casino games. They have got it for you. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for this season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, it is where the game starts. Don't hesitate. Get in there right now. Make sure you're betting on these games this Saturday because tons of SEC games. Last weekend was a slow week. We had just 4 games. This week, SEC back in action, full slate of games. Get in there, place your bets, and make it happen. BetOnline, where the game starts. Roll along here, Locked On SEC, continuing our conversation with our guest, Joseph Goodman from AL.com. His new book out is We Want Bama. And Joseph, it's just interesting with the college football playoff rankings coming out the other night. A lot of people say, we want Bama, we want Bama. Were you surprised Bama was number 2? We know Georgia was going to be number 1, but my goodness, I mean, Bama loses that game at A&M. It felt like the world was over. And here they are, first college football playoff rankings. They're right there at number 2.
Yeah, I mean, it's always the case when Alabama loses, right? And that I kind of have fun with that in the book. Whenever Alabama loses, it's like the apocalypse now. I'm so shocked that they were number 2. Okay, because really their best win is against number 16 Ole Miss. But at the same time, there's like. Once again in college football, just like 2019 with LSU, just like 2020 with Alabama, there's like one major dominant team. And it's obvious which team that is, and it's Georgia. So, after that, I kind of feel like in the beginning of the college football rankings, the committee kind of sets it up to where the outcomes can then change the rankings where they actually should be, because you can make Cincinnati was number 2 in the AP poll, and
Right.
they're now number 5, so that's controversial from the beginning. So is Alabama going to lose 2 games and then still be ahead of Cincinnati? I mean, that's not going to happen. I highly doubt that. So it's almost like the committee is setting it up for Alabama to go undefeated throughout the rest of the schedule, meet Georgia in the SEC championship, and then have that be determined on the field, and then Alabama drop below. I think they'll drop below Cincinnati. What an egregious, just
Well,
you
you're telling
imagine if a
Cincinnati,
two-loss Alabama got, yeah, sorry.
you're telling Cincinnati there's nothing you can do to get in here because we just think Bama's better. Like it's a shame.
Yeah, and Alabama's great this year, but I think Cincinnati's really good too. So you can't tell me in the subjective system that we have, with only 4 teams getting into the playoff, that Alabama is demonstratively that much better than Cincinnati if Alabama's going to have 2 wins. Now, if Alabama beats Georgia, then they're in,
Right.
and Georgia's in too. So and the SEC has half the teams in the field, but if it comes down to it, I just can you imagine 2-loss Alabama getting in over a undefeated Cincinnati? Like that would.
Yeah, I mean, at what point does the on the field, it has to matter, right? Like if you take a loss and you lose a game, like that should factor into your resume. It shouldn't just be, oh, we just think they're one of the best teams. Well, you kind of have to go with the resume because let's be honest, Joe, like Bama every year is going to be one of the best teams. Like if the argument becomes, well, we think they're one of the 4 best teams. Well, yeah, they have the number 1 recruiting class every year. They're always going to be one of the 4 best teams at the end of the year. But I think the schedule and the resume should matter when it's all said and done. I'm curious to get your thoughts on another team, the other team in the state of Alabama, because man, I've been very impressed. We've gotten good Bo Nix back-to-back weeks, and Brian Harsin seems to be doing a really good job. What do you make of where Auburn is right now?
Yeah, a month ago Auburn lost to Georgia State. They almost lost to Georgia State. It was like it was a symbolic loss, I guess, because they had to beat Georgia State in the final second of the game. And at that point in the season, I guess Auburn could have gone one of 2 ways. It could just fallen off the cliff, and it didn't. And that's a big credit to the coach, Brian Harrison. So, the coach has done a great job. They have a tough team. If you watch that game, this past weekend, that's a good Auburn team, okay? And that's an Auburn team in Jordan-Hare Stadium that is going to give Alabama a lot of trouble. So, I'm really interested to see what Bo Nix does on the road this weekend. Going to College Station, historically, everyone knows that Bo Nix has been a lot better at home than he has been on the road. But, he really proved in that win at LSU and at Arkansas that this is maybe a different season. And the reason is the new coach, and Mike Bobo, the coordinator. So Auburn has it going, and it's we're about to learn, I guess, the big difference between Alabama and Auburn, because Alabama went in Texas A&M and they lost. So I don't think there's much separating Alabama and Auburn this year as people might think. And this weekend, I guess we'll learn if that's true or not.
Yeah, the crazy part is, just with how the standings and everything shakes up, Auburn is 3-1 in the conference. There is a reality where Auburn maybe could win out, ekes out a win in the Iron Bowl, and they're going to Atlanta. So it's crazy to think that
you're right. Auburn could still go to the national championship playoff. Theoretically, they could still they could go undefeated. They could beat Alabama, then they could upset Georgia in the SEC championship game. Or if any 2-loss team is going to make the college football playoff this year, which they're not, but if any were, then Auburn would have that stronger case than Alabama, because their 2 losses would be to Georgia.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. And this Georgia team this year, I mean, my goodness, the defense is so good. I mean, they are the real deal, and it's going to be so fun to see if they do run the table and they face Alabama in the SEC title game, what the Alabama offense and Bill O'Brien are able to do against this Georgia defense. Just a couple quick hitters, Joe, while we got you. Just curious your thoughts. Where do you think LSU goes for their next head coach? Kind of Coach O, the lame duck. They're going to get obliterated by Alabama this weekend, but where do you think they should look for their next head coach?
Oh, not in. I'm not going to say that. Listen, I think Mel Tucker would be a great coach at LSU. Okay, he is. Now I know he's a former Saban assistant, but whatever. Mel Tucker is, you know, he stands on his own. He's proven he's doing a great job at Michigan State, and I think he is kind of that like steady leadership influence that could come in and really change the culture at LSU and turn it into something similar to Alabama and what Saban's been able to do at Alabama. So, LSU to me is the greatest job in college football, okay? Because you got New Orleans right there to recruit. You got, you got that side of Texas to recruit. You got Mississippi, and it's they just can't get out of their way sometimes at LSU. And I think if they get the right guy in there, like they had in there with Saban, then they could really win multiple national championships. Now, or they could just hire someone else and win one and fire him. That's what they've done the last 2 times. That's how good of a job it is, Like
Hey,
they win despite their head coaches.
it is crazy, though. I mean, we talk about the Bama dominance and all this. The only team, like the team right behind Bama in terms of national championship wins and appearance, like it's LSU. Like LSU has won 3 in the last 20 years. Like it's Alabama and LSU. So really, it's crazy, but it does kind of scream. Because somebody said last week, they said, "Oh, they better hit a home run with this hire." And I said, they don't need to. Like whoever they hire, the odds are that guy's going to win a title while he's there. Now, if you want prolonged success, okay, I get it. Get somebody who's going to be here 7, 8, 9 years. But man, it is crazy that even Ed Ogeron and Les Miles were able to win there.
Yeah, right. I mean, I really think if they got someone like Mark Stoops, okay, he could build a strong foundation and recruit incredible players, and they could go on a dynasty. But I really like Mel Tucker. Just an incredible guy, and players love him, and he's all about the right things. And there's not going to be any like salacial controversies surrounding Mel Tucker like there were, with Les Miles and Ed Orgeron. So,
well, the Tucker, to your point, the Tucker thing, you said he's a former Saban assistant. Well, Jimbo broke through, so the curse is broken. The Saban assistants might start running off wins on Saban now.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be really hard to beat Kirby Smart in Georgia this year.
Yeah,
like that's for sure. I've seen Georgia. I've seen them twice now. I saw them obliterate UAB when everyone thought UAB might have a slim chance of something, and that it was stupid. Like Stetson's first 5 passes were like for touchdowns or something. I mean, it was, like literally, it was crazy. And Jordan Davis like tracked down UAB's quarterback from behind at a dead sprint. I mean, the guy's 340 pounds, and he could run like he could run like the last leg for like Georgia's track team or something. And then they Auburn, the game at Jordan Hare Stadium, Auburn they just had no chance. Yeah, I mean Auburn made mistakes, and you can't make mistakes against great teams like this Georgia team. But like Tank Bigsby, he's still the only rushing. They're still the only running back this season to score a rushing touchdown on Georgia's defense. All right, and
yeah,
that lets you know how good they are.
And they celebrated that, and I give them kudos. Hey, celebrate it. Nobody does this against the Georgia team this year. So,
kid.
Yeah, exactly. Go get it. He is Joseph Goodman. Follow him on Twitter at Joe Goodman Jr. And again, the book is out on November 9th. We Want Bama. One more time, remind our listeners where they can find it and what they're going to love most about this book.
Yeah, so the book is available in bookstores. It's going to be available everywhere you buy books. Everywhere online you buy books, it's going to be available in bookstores. It's not just a book for Alabama football fans. This is a book for all college football fans because it speaks to something greater. And and really it's a book for people who don't even like sports. I tell people it's like a sports non-sports book because there's a lot of really interesting history in there that kind of ties in what makes this phenomenon that is the University of Alabama football team, which is now like this larger than life meme. And, it has a lot to do with the history of the state and just the culture that has incubated, this win at all cost mentality of college football. So I really think people will enjoy it. And if you get it, definitely hit me up on Twitter and let me know what you think.
I love it, Joseph. And also you can get a sticker if you get in and pre-order the copy now before the book comes out. You can get a We Want Bama sticker for your car or your phone or whatever you want to put it on.
Yeah, put it on your cooler or whatever, your Yeti. Yeah, definitely. The stickers are fun. So here's the thing with the stickers. I love stickers. There's stickers all over my laptop. Like anyone who sees me in the press box, knows this. It's completely covered in stickers. So, we thought it'd be just a cool promotional campaign to come up with these fun We Want Bama stickers. And if you pre-order now, you get a sticker. So the stickers are super cool. I like them a lot. Anyway.
Yeah, I think Joseph's quote on Twitter was, "I love the bleep out of stickers." So we'll leave the expletive out there. But Joseph, always good to catch up, man. Great stuff. Again, if you guys want to check out the book, you can find it wewantbamabook.com. Best of luck with the book, man, and we'll have to do this again real soon.
Okay, thanks a lot, man. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
All right, thanks so much. That's Joseph Goodman there of AL.com. And of course, the book We Want Bama, tremendous stuff there. That is just about going to do it for this edition of Locked On SEC. Thanks so much to Joseph Goodman for joining us. And we'll be back tomorrow for a whole new edition of Locked On SEC, getting you ready for this weekend's games. I'm Chris Gordy. Talk to you guys tomorrow right here on Locked On SEC.